Now, Donald Trump says he is unaware of his country's trade dealings with Russia.
India says that the US imports Russian uranium, chemicals, fertilizers, while criticizing their energy imports. Your response to that, sir?
I don't know anything about it. I'd have to check, but we'll get back to you on that. Yeah, please.
And this development came after India pushed back hard against what it calls Western hypocrisy on Russian oil. The Indian government pointed out that both US and EU continue to do business with Moscow, even as they criticize India's oil imports from Russia. Total US-Russia trade stood at $5.2 billion. And according to US Trade Representative's office, that was the data. The latest energy data from July, it also underlines the global contradictions. Russia's natural gas exports to Europe via pipelines rose 37% in July compared to June. And this is thanks to the completion of maintenance on the Turk Stream pipeline. Hungary and Slovakia remain key recipients, while total Russian gas exports to Europe halved in the first half of 2025. The union is under scrutiny for still purchasing gas via alternate means. And this follows earlier reports of EU buying more gas from Russia than the aid given to Ukraine. The MEA reminded Washington that India turned to Russian oil after Western buyers diverted global supplies and stressed that buying discounted crude was essential to protect inflation and energy security. Russian oil now makes up 33% of India's total crude imports, a sharp rise from pre-war levels, and the value of Russian oil bought by India helped the country manage energy costs during global volatility. Now, India also highlighted a key comparison. EU's bilateral trade with Russia in 2024, it exceeded India's. And while China and Turkey continue Russian oil imports, they have faced little backlash. So why is India being targeted? The MEA said that India's policy is guided by strategic autonomy, not shifting global expectations, making it absolutely clear that Western double standards will not dictate India's choices. All right, let's move further. Trump's recent warning over India's Russian oil purchases, it has put New Delhi in a certain position. The US president has been on a sudden offensive, threatening additional penalty if India continues buying oil and military equipment from Moscow. And this marks a sharp departure from the Biden administration's earlier tolerance. India, now the second largest buyer of Russian crude after China, imported 1.75 million barrels a day in the first half of 2025, up from just 100,000 barrels a day before the Ukraine war. And despite Trump's stance, India is showing no signs of backing down. Officials argue that these are long-term oil contracts that can't be unwound overnight. And New Delhi also claims that its purchases have helped stabilize global prices and avoid inflationary spikes. The government says its energy decisions are guided by price, availability and national interest, not geopolitics. India also highlighted the hypocrisy of the West, saying that while both US and the European Union have been buyers of Russian goods despite sanctions, India now finds itself caught between two strategic partners, Russia for affordable energy and the US for trade and investment. The US remains India's top export market, accounting for 33% of total merchandise exports. Analysts warn that the Trump-led pressure campaign could strain this balance. India may explore other suppliers like Iran or OPEC if exemptions are negotiated. But for now, it's holding the line.